The foundation of physical mastery if you want to transform a standard, forgettable encounter into an experience that she'll be replay over and over in her mind. You have to stop treating intimacy like a race to the finish line. Most men make the critical mistake of rushing the process, diving straight into the endgame without ever building the necessary tension. When you move too fast, you aren't just skipping steps, you are actively fighting against the mechanics of how a woman's body actually responds to stimulation. Arousal isn't a light switch that you just flip on. It is a slow burning fire that requires the right fuel and the right timing. To make her fully engaged and responsive, you need to understand that her body requires a specific sequence of physical cues to unlock its full potential for pleasure. The secret to becoming an unforgettable partner lies in your ability to read the room and prioritize the areas that trigger her natural arousal long before the main event begins. If you ignore these foundations, you'll find yourself dealing with friction, lack of interest, or a partner who is simply going through the motions. But when you master the art of physical escalation, you create a feedback loop where every touch you give makes her more sensitive to the next. You aren't just touching her, you are communicating that you understand her needs and that you are in total control of the experience. This builds a level of trust and desire that makes her feel safe enough to let go and enjoy herself to the fullest. Today, we are stripping away the fluff and the guesswork. I'm breaking down the two essential power zones that you must prioritize if you want her begging for more. By focusing your energy here, you bypass the common awkwardness of trying too hard and instead tap into a natural, physiological response. We're talking about moving beyond basic knacking and entering the realm of true physical connection. If you follow this roadmap, you won't just be another guy she spent time with. You'll be the one who finally understood how to handle her body with the care, precision, and intensity it deserves. Stick with me, because once you understand these mechanics, everything changes. Mastering the upper body. The art of the tease, the absolute biggest mistake you can make when things start getting intimate is being too aggressive with your hands. Too many men think that more pressure equals more pleasure, but when it comes to a woman's chest, that logic is completely backward. You have to understand that you aren't there to grab or squeeze like you're handling an object. You're there to tease the nerves and build a bridge to her desire. The chest area is an incredibly complex network of sensitivity, specifically centered around the areola and the nipples. These are not just physical points, they are high-voltage triggers for her entire nervous system. If you go in too hard or too fast, you aren't providing pleasure, you're causing physical discomfort. Pain is the ultimate mood killer. The moment she feels pain, her body instinctively shuts down, her mind exits the moment, and her natural lubrication stops dead in its tracks. You've essentially locked the door before you even tried the key. To do this the right way, you need to change your entire approach to be light, deliberate, and intentional. Imagine your touch is barely skimming the surface, creating a sensation that makes her wonder what's coming next. Instead of a firm grip, you should be using a soft, circular rubbing motion with your fingertips or the palms of your hands. You want to focus on the areola, that darker area, because that is where the highest concentration of nerve endings lives. By teasing these nerves gently, you aren't just making her feel good in that one spot. You are actually triggering a massive hormonal response throughout her entire body. This release of oxytocin and other feel-good chemicals acts as a signal to her brain that it is time to prepare for full-blown intimacy. You are effectively priming the engine, making every other part of her body more sensitive and responsive to your touch. When you master this level of finesse, you'll notice a physical transformation in her almost immediately. This is the stage where the magic happens without any outside help. Many men struggle with a partner not being ready or wet enough, and they often resort to using artificial lubricants or even spit to try and force the process. But let's be direct. If you're using saliva, it's usually because you failed to spend enough time on the upper body. When you take the time to unlock this entrance door properly, her body will take care of the rest. The natural arousal process will kick in, and she will become self-lubricating because her brain is convinced that she is safe, desired, and stimulated. You aren't just rubbing skin, you are communicating with her nervous system. By being patient and focusing on these oranges with a gentle hand, You turn her body into a welcoming environment where everything flows naturally. Finally, remember that consistency is your best friend here. You don't just touch once and move on. You stay there, you explore the textures, and you vary the speed while keeping the pressure light. You want to create a rhythm that she can get lost in. If you see her start to arch her back or hear her breath hitch, you know you're doing it right. This is the foundation of nakeology, the science of the buildup. By treating this area with the respect and tenderness it deserves, you prove that you aren't just looking for a quick thrill, but that you are an expert who knows exactly how to navigate her body. This level of skill makes you stand out from every other guy who just dives in like a parachute. Take your time, focus on the T's, and watch how quickly the entire atmosphere changes. The core of connection, navigating the V once you have successfully sensitized her upper body and her nervous system is fully firing. It is time to transition to the second critical area, the V. This is the moment where most men lose the plot by becoming overeager and diving in headfirst without a roadmap. If you want her to experience that deep, visceral satisfaction that lingers long after you're finished, you must understand that the entrance is not the destination. It is a journey that requires preparation. Jumping straight into penetration is the fastest way to cause friction and disconnect. Instead, you must use your hands and your focus to explore and stimulate her entire anatomy down there before anything else happens. Think of this as the bridge to the kingdom. If you don't build the bridge properly, the rest of the experience will feel bumpy, forced, and ultimately unsatisfying for both of you. Whether you choose to use your fingers or your mouth, your primary objective is to create what I call a sleepy or effortless path. This means the environment should be so welcoming and so lubricated by her own natural arousal that there is zero resistance. To achieve this, you need to focus your attention on the clitoris and the surrounding internal walls with a gentle, consistent rhythm. You aren't just poking around, you are looking for those specific triggers that make her body react instinctively. When you find the right rhythm, you will witness a visible physical shift in her. Her eyes will start to dim or flutter shut. Her breathing will become heavy and shallow, and she will start to give you those deep, soulful reactions, those soft moans and subtle movements that prove she is finally dropping her guard and feeling the connection on a soul level. This isn't just about knacking, it is a science of tension and release. As you work this area, you should be paying close attention to her feedback. Every woman is different, but the need for a smooth transition is universal. By using your God-given hands to dip deep and explore, you're ensuring that the experience is seamless and high pleasure. You are removing the hooks and clamps of physical tension that make intimacy feel like a chore. When you take the time to stimulate the kitty with patience and precision, you transform the encounter from a basic physical act into a sensual masterpiece. This is where you establish yourself as a man who knows what he's doing, a man who isn't just rushing for his own finish line, but who is dedicated to the total satisfaction of his partner. Focusing here ensures that when the time finally comes to dive in, the path is already paved with pleasure. You won't have to worry about whether she's ready or if she's enjoying it, because you've already seen the evidence in her eyes and heard it in her voice. This deep level of preparation creates a welcoming atmosphere where the chemistry is undeniable. If you skip this, you're just another guy heading for a break fracture in the connection. But if you master this core connection, you make the experience made in heaven. You create a situation where she feels fully seen and fully felt, leading to a level of screaming and mourning that only comes when a man truly understands the mechanics of her body. Take your time, stay consistent, and watch how the V becomes the gateway to an unforgettable night. Why most men fail: the science of effort. The hard truth that many men refuse to face is that when a woman says the chemistry just isn't there or he's not really my type, it is rarely about his looks or his status. More often than not, it is a polite way of saying he didn't know how to handle her body. Most men fail because they treat intimacy like a checklist rather than a conversation. They skip the critical preparation of the upper body and the V, rushing straight to the end as if they're in a race. When you do this, you are effectively going through the motions, and believe me, she can feel that lack of presence. She knows when a man is just performing a routine versus when he is actually tuned into her responses. If you skip the groundwork, you are leaving her behind, and that disconnect is exactly what kills the spark and leaves her feeling unsatisfied and indifferent. You might find yourself walking away from an encounter thinking a woman wasn't sweet or that she was dry, but the reality is often much different. The sweetness you're looking for isn't a permanent trait she either has or doesn't have. It is a response that you have to earn through your actions. You haven't done the work to bring that sweetness out because you didn't take the time to unlock her body's natural chemistry. Think of it like a high performance engine. You can't just redline it the second you turn the key without warming it up first, or you're going to cause damage and friction. When you ignore the essential touch points of the chest and the internal preparation, you are forcing a situation that isn't ready to happen. You're expecting a made in heaven experience while putting in bare minimum effort, and that math simply doesn't add up. It is time to stop diving in like a parachute without a plan. A parachute just drops and hopes for a soft landing, but a master of nacheology navigates with precision. If you want to be the kind of man who leaves a lasting impression, the kind of man a woman remembers and craves, you must master the art of the buildup. You have to respect the tempo of her body and understand that her arousal curve is different from yours. By slowing down and intentionally focusing on the areas we've discussed, you prove that you are an expert who values her pleasure as much as your own. This builds a level of sensual authority that is incredibly attractive. When she realizes you aren't rushing, she relaxes. When she relaxes, she opens up. And when she opens up, the experience becomes something far beyond the ordinary. Put these techniques into practice immediately and stop making excuses about chemistry. Chemistry is something you build with your God given hands and your focus. The moment you start prioritizing these two zones, you will see an immediate and dramatic difference in how she responds to you. You'll hear it in her voice, see it in her eyes, and feel it in the way her body welcomes you without the need for any artificial help. Don't be the man who gets left behind because he was too lazy to learn the roadmap. Be the man who understands the science of the touch, respects the entrance to the kingdom, and delivers satisfaction every single time. Master these touch points, and you won't just be her type, you'll be in a league of your own.